Hello, music listeners, underground enthusiasts, and people who wear hoodies with short sleeves. Back with another weekly tracks list. We got a couple good ones for you as normal. When have I ever put a bad one in? So there's no point in me saying that. As you can notice, if you've ever paid attention to the background, there is a bit of a change of scenery. My desk has been turned 90 degrees. So no more bookshelf. Hello, anime posters. Let's go ahead and cut to the chase and start talking about some songs that I listened to that I liked. It was a very good week. I have a lot to say. Starting off this week, we have Greenwood with South Florida Pain Clinic as the track. In terms of piano ballads, Greenwood certainly takes the cake as somebody who has been consistently pumping out poignant and pretty tracks with these tired vocals over the most somber piano that you'll ever hear. And the dampened, roomy piano arrangement definitely falls in line with emotionally grand and almost theatrically sonic themes, but there's also the additional element of Greenwood's glossy and slightly metallic vocal mix that adds a bit of freshness to it, that adds a bit of deviation away. And although I do have my issues with vocal mixes that don't match the song tonally and feel like they're from an entirely different genre, Greenwood delicately walks the line between these genres and pulls it off with a commendable level of tact. And the weary ballad singing does evolve into this scratchy and strained delivery as the energy peaks with the introduction of the percussion and the new vocal energy. It's a great shift into a defined burst of energy without straying too far away from the original style and the original narrative. It's not jarring in that way. The end of the track increases this tenfold. And in terms of writing, it's heartbreaking. I think that as a writer, Greenwood hit so many pressure points in his words and his imagery. It is beautiful. I'm excited to see where Greenwood takes this sound. It is already in such a refined state, but that I know the progress that Greenwood is going to make is going to be substantial and it is going to be noticeable. And I'm very excited for it. Then we have a Myth Valley's track with Scarecrow, and on this Myth Valley tackles a saturated and compressed alternative rock sound that is incredibly focused on producing a hazy and dampened but also kind of edgy sound. The song almost pulses in a way. Maybe it's the heavy compression on the master, maybe it's Maybelline, but either way it is a bold move that pays off really well, because when you get experimental with instruments like these, you risk things falling flat or being so squished that the dynamics of the track aren't able to escape. But I actually really enjoy what Myth Valley has done with this track in terms of production, in terms of mixing and mastering. The song details moving on from past ethos and agendas while accepting that sometimes being transformative with your life won't be accepted by the people you want to accept it the most. The vocal performance is gritty and impassioned. Myth belts some really nice mid-range vocals that flow smoothly over the crunchy guitar and the buzzing synths, but also hit some strange screams as well that really hit the mark. They're a lot of fun to listen to. The production is tight and engaging as well, producing some really interesting sections, especially the breakdown in the middle of the track, and Myth's writing and vocal performance will definitely give you your fill of 2010's distorted alt-rock while providing something fresh in the process. The more I listen to this track, and I've listened to it a few times, I find more and more quirks and techniques that I love being able to recognize on each repeated listen. It's a lot of fun, and the more you listen to it, the more it kind of gives back to you. Lavera's got a new track with Let Go, and this song is groovy, let me tell ya. Lavera wastes no time establishing her presence in a soft pop R&B context. Every part of this track screams, it shouts from the rooftops. 2000s pop R&B. The groovy guitar, the bright almost 80s strings and dance synths are so unapologetically of an era, and I think it is one of the best takes on this nostalgic sound that I've heard in a long time. That's not to say that that's the entire appeal. This song doesn't run on nostalgia. It has a fine-tuned engine in a vacuum as well and stands on its own as an incredibly fun and sweet track. Lavera's breathy and wispy vocals glide beautifully over the beat. The swirling piano that builds up under her vocals as twinkly notes and buzzy synths swirl around the vocals create a super satisfying harmony of elements. I mean, we're talking Pussycat Dolls, we're talking Keisha Cole, we're talking Destiny's Child, we're talking Lavera. It is an infectiously fun track that you can really just fucking groove to. Then up next we have Zoltar with Red 40 Blues. I have been incredibly excited to talk about this track. My introduction to Zoltar was in the form of Newton's Flaming Laser Sword a couple months ago, and since then I have been eagerly waiting to hear what they do next. This song demands your attention. Every single second of it has been meticulously crafted to have such a beautiful palette of sounds. The production is grand and swirling with so many working parts all moving at the same time. The background chords in the beginning create a dark atmosphere, but the switch provide brash and rattling bass, while climbing synths launch an assault on the song as Zoltar borderline screams out words of isolation through a shiny and processed mix. The vocal performance is impassioned and so persistent in its insane quality and emotion, and the mix is almost, it's almost perfect for the track. Like, it's really good. The defined sections of the track are definitely a highlight because after this explosion of emotion and instruments, the song trades out the electronic and harsh synths for organic and reverb heavy piano melodies, and it doesn't feel off at all. The transitions in this song should be studied by anybody who wants to shift their song in interesting and different directions halfway through or some way through without losing the plot. Every once in a while on the weekly tracks list, I talk about a song like this where I feel like the best and most productive thing that I can tell you is just to go listen to the track. It definitely feels like an end of the year list contender. It's really well done. It's super polished. I'm really impressed. It's so incredibly easy to hear the amount of effort and talent that went into the track, and there's not a single thing that sticks out to me as unnecessary or messed up. So many one-off quirks and sonic themes that are instantly memorable. The transition between the first and the second verse is seamless, especially. I know that I'm hyping this song up so much, but I'm legitimately blown away. Go listen to the track. Then up next we have Simon M with Out of Line featuring Yazida and 4CF. The song immediately kicks off with some really slick, roomy guitar riffs, but when the first verse starts, they're met with a nice driving, groovy bass line as well to fill in that space. Yazida's hushed and airy vocals go great over Simon's snappy and sharp percussion that also complements the bass line really well. A lot of things working in harmony together on this track. The twinkly keys floating over Yazida's vocals make for a smooth and calming soundscape. It is so pretty, and 4CF's verse is a fantastic contrast to what we've heard up to this point. His slightly processed mid-range delivery counters Yazida's breathy singing in a very satisfying way. The flows are solid and precise, well enunciated, and overall fun to listen to. Everybody's contribution to this track is well done, and it makes for a groovy and slick R&B track that feels dreamy and hypnotic with, I would say, the slightest bit of edge. Just a little bit in there. We have a new Jauntsen track with Live My Life. Jauntsen always comes through with something unique and insanely fun. That is not new to me, but I'm happy to say that she continues this trend on Live My Life. The song describes the turmoil that comes packaged in with the pursuit of self-actualization, and how in the process of reaching those goals there are, lots of cases of falling, cyclical behaviors, and pushback from other entities in your life, and how despite the effort being put into things, it's not guaranteed to succeed on the first try. The message is translated incredibly well and done through mellow and muddy production that thematically fits the lyrics, and the writing is really well as well. The driving guitar chords sit in the space wonderfully, and Jauntsen's vocal performance is impassioned as well as technically impressive. I love the layering and I love the melodies being delivered here. And since I'm familiar with Jauntsen's production, on my first listen to this song, I was almost caught off guard by how relatively reserved the styles and productions were, and it wasn't bad at all. It wasn't. I was happy to hear it, but it just didn't seem as wild and experimental as I know Jauntsen tends to get. At the end, that itch was scratched because the track ends with an electronic breakdown that is just pure ear candy. The stutters and synths and the kicks hit hard as hell and leave the lasting impression that I know Jauntsen is capable of making. It's short and sweet, and it's such a great way to end the song. All right, guys, I'll be real with you. This is a big one. This is we're gonna be here a minute. Thatcherblackwood has released Bleith. I'm pretty sure that's the pronunciation, but I could be corrected. We'll find out soon enough. This is, like I said, this is a big one. My notes on this were not easy to write. I try to keep things succinct and punctual didn't happen this time around. Thatcher Blackwood's Laurel immediately hooked me in with its take on electronic and folk fusions, delivering a staggering performance balancing tranquility and chaos. I love the track, and since then Thatcher has become an artist whose trajectory I am completely invested in. I think it's rare to find an artist with this much unique star power. And Bleith is an exhibition of grand theatrics and orchestral harmony driven by fusions of folk, alternative pop, electronic, and even dubstep is thrown in there as well. The production on it is not only gorgeous but immensely impressive as well. Thatcher has achieved the creation of a sprawling soundscape to easily fit in lush string melodies, playful guitar chords, and dusty organic percussion that culminate into an almost whimsical potion of the most calming and tranquil sounds imaginable. And if they stopped it there, well, hey, you have a hit. But that wasn't enough. Thatcher doesn't stop there, and has incorporated electronic and dubstep breakdowns that the folky harmonics transitions seamlessly into. And these breakdowns have a brash, metallic, and industrial sound to them that somehow doesn't kill the momentum. It actually doesn't feel jarring whatsoever. It makes total sense when listening to the song. Like, it's like you hear the folk go into dubstep, and you're like, yeah, that's what I expected. That's what I thought was coming up. Someone please explain to me how that works. At 8 minutes long, so many elements and concepts and aesthetics are fit into this song that it feels like a magnum opus despite Thatcher Blackwood just now getting started with music. His discography is not what you would call long. Each section of this track has its own unique appeals and body without deviating too far away from the overarching narrative and aesthetics of the song. And the vocal performances are just as moody, melancholic, and saccharine as the production. The song gives you everything you want, all in one complete package, and it is genuinely scary. Every once in a while, an artist comes along that kind of feels like a musical benchmark in a way, representing all of the progress that people have made up until this point, but also the start of something entirely fresh, new, and most importantly, exciting. People will look back on Thatcher Blackwood as one of the progenitors of this sound that he is doing, and at 16, that's quite the impressive undertaking. People will have historied careers and not have made something of this complexity, of this quality, with this much thoughtfulness put behind it. I'm very excited to see where he takes it next. And that's going to do it. Next, beside my head, are some honorable mentions, songs that I think are good, but I didn't really have enough to say about them, or I couldn't fit them into the list. So also, I always point the wrong direction. Also, check these out. These are also good songs. A lot of cool videos coming up that are a lot of fun. They're very nice. I'm enjoying making them. I hope you guys enjoy watching them. Catch me in the next video where I watch you guys review tracks. Bye.